Should you build up retirement dollars, retirement savings outside of the 401k, outside of the Roth IRA, outside of the IRA, outside of those tax shelters, in just a taxable account? The surprise answer is yes. Why should you do it and how much? I've got that and more coming up. My name's Mike Bernard. I'm the host of the Wise Money Show. I'm also one of the certified financial planners right here at Korhorn Financial Group. Make sure you hit that subscribe button, turn on notifications, and smash that thumbs up button. The name of the game is tax diversification. Do you have choice? Do you have choice about, as you draw dollars out of your different retirement buckets in retirement, how they're going to be taxed? We're all familiar with diversification and how you shouldn't have all your eggs in one basket. Most of us just think about that as an investing principle. Same thing applies when it comes to taxes. If you're not mindful of tax diversification during your career, then by the time you get to retirement and start pulling dollars out to supplement your Social Security in your golden years, you'll realize every dollar has an IOU to Uncle Sam, and that you've built up, whatever, it's $1 million, $2 million, it's really not all yours. You owe a chunk of that to the IRS. Instead, it'd be better to have choice and better to have flexibility. So how do you build that flexibility? Should you just be contributing pre-tax or just be contributing Roth? And would it ever make sense to contribute outside of those tax shelters? Yes, it actually would make sense in that situation as part of a well-crafted tax shelter strategy, tax planning, part of the 6 areas of your financial plan. So it's got to be embedded into your financial plan and make sense when looking at all 6 areas of your financial life. If you are maxing out that Roth IRA, maybe even that HSA as well, then I would consider adding to a non-IRA account, a taxable account. If you're not, and we just had this situation where we're working with some folks who actually have pretty significant income over the past several years, but they're still eligible to contribute to the Roth IRA, and they're not. They've got about $500,000 sitting in a non-tax sheltered account, a fully taxable account, but they're not maxing out their Roth IRAs. No. You're going to want to max out those Roth IRAs if you're eligible first. But then beyond that, once you've done that, then building up some resources outside in a taxable account, in a non-tax sheltered account can make a ton of sense. Why? Well, several reasons and several retirement reasons, okay? Not just because you've got the flexibility all along if you need to pull some dollars out to make a down payment on a house or need to help, young kids as they're getting started in their adult life, there's a lot of flexibility. No. For retirement, there's reasons to have this non-tax sheltered account, this taxable account. First, and one of our favorites is you draw from that account first in those early years of retirement by drawing from that non-tax shelter, that taxable account. Yeah, you might have some capital gains that you'll need to pay and some dividend income that's been landing on your tax return, but you can typically do so. You can typically draw from those dollars and still have a pretty manageable or low tax impact on your tax return. Maybe capital gains, but yeah, it's pretty flexible at that point. When you do that, that then opens the door for you to do a few different things. Maybe Roth conversions while you're living off of those dollars that don't have a big tax impact. As you pull them out, your tax picture looks really manageable. You do some Roth conversions early in retirement so that those dollars have still a long time to grow tax sheltered in that Roth IRA. Also helps reduce your required minimum distribution. Maybe drawing from this taxable account in those first few years of retirement also allows you to delay Social Security. You might not like that idea emotionally. However, running the numbers with your certified financial planner, you might realize, wow, that's an 8% rate of return that we can get from the government. Yeah, maybe we should delay Social Security for a couple of years while we live on these other dollars. And that reason flows right into the next one, where if you're drawing dollars out of a taxable account during those early years of retirement where maybe you don't have a lot of other income sources, the capital gains typically can be at zero federal cap gain rates. Because you don't have a lot of other income landing on your tax return, if you're drawing out of that taxable account, maybe you're still in the 10% tax bracket or 12% tax bracket during those early years of retirement before you turn on Social Security, or maybe before you start pulling from that IRA. And during that time, if you're in that 10% or 12% tax bracket at a federal level, your capital gains rate at the federal level is 0%. So that could allow you in this taxable account to have these dollars not be taxable at the federal level. They would still be reported as adjusted gross income and flow over to the state tax return if you pay state and local taxes. But at a federal level, even though this is a taxable account, the capital gains could be tax-free. A third reason why it can make sense to build up some dollars in a taxable account is actually to pay the tax on Roth conversions. And this one might be a little bit of a Jedi mind trick, but when you're doing a Roth conversion, especially early in retirement, the big idea, the number one priority is to see how you can get as much of your wealth growing in a tax-free bucket as possible. Try and get as much of your wealth growing in that tax-free bucket as possible. Well, doing a Roth conversion from a pre-tax account into your Roth, that's a taxable event. You can withhold taxes on that, but what happens, say you're going to do a Roth conversion of $50,000 from your IRA to your Roth. If you withhold 20% on that, $50,000 comes out of your IRA, 10 grand goes to Uncle Sam, and only 40 grand goes to the Roth. Well, if we're trying to have as much of our wealth grow in that tax-free account as possible, we didn't meet that objective. Only 40 grand landed there. How could we pay the taxes a different way? Well, you could withhold 0 taxes on that Roth conversion. 50 grand comes out of the IRA, 50 grand lands in the Roth IRA, and you find a different way to pay the taxes on that conversion. And if you have liquid resources, this taxable account that you've saved up and accumulated over the years, that can be the dollars to either pay the tax estimate or pay the taxes due when you file your return. And then a final reason, there's more than this, but a fourth reason why it may make sense for you to build up a non-IRA, a taxable account after you've funded your Roth IRAs and as part of a comprehensive tax diversification strategy, is for advanced giving strategies. Whether that's giving to a charity or a nonprofit through a donor advised fund, where you can donate the highly appreciated investment because you've held it over the years. You can donate it to the church or to that donor advised fund and get the deduction for that charitable contribution, that charitable donation, but not pay any of the tax on it because you donated it to the donor advised fund. When you then sell that investment, no one pays the capital gains because the donor advised fund is structured as a giving account for nonprofits. So that'd be one way that building this non-taxable account can help you with advanced planning for donations and giving. But it can also be a huge benefit when you're giving dollars to the next generation. If they're in a lower tax bracket, and these dollars can be given to them, and they pay less tax than you, that'd be an advantage. Or if these dollars are then inherited by that generation, they get a step up in basis when you pass away, unlike the IRA where the dollars are going to be taxable to them when they receive it, the next generation. With a taxable account, those dollars would get a step up in cost basis and thereby could be sold, the investments could be sold at the time of inheritance with no taxes due then. So those are just a few of the reasons why it may make sense as part of a well-designed tax diversification strategy, tax planning strategy. It may make sense to, in addition to funding that Roth and funding that 401k, to also build up a non-IRA, a taxable account. So how much? Well, that depends on your specific financial situation. An earmark, something to maybe target or shoot for, is to cover the first couple of years of your retirement income, whether that is to supplement Social Security or whether that is the full amount that you'll need for the first couple of years of retirement to have in a taxable account, a non-IRA. But work with your certified financial planner on that. See if that makes sense for your situation, your cash flow, your retirement plan, your tax picture, your estate plan, and all 6 areas of your financial life. If you don't have a CFP on your team, you can contact one on my team. Find us online, Korhorn.com. That's Korhorn with K, wisefinancial.com. You can find us there as well, or send us an email, info@korhorn.com. There you have it. Go out and take your next wise step in your financial life.